Today, we're leaving the biggest cyberpunk titles like Blade Runner and The Matrix behind, and looking at the films that slipped past the mainstream. Some are real standouts, some are more on the cult side, but all of them have something going on. And if I miss one you love, drop it in the comments. Nobody saw Split Second on its release because it was overshadowed by the cultural juggernaut of Basic Instinct. So let's at least give it the top spot on our list today. While it's often categorized as a sci-fi horror, its cyberpunk markings are etched into every frame. The film is set in a partially submerged London of 2008, where rising sea levels have turned the city into a decaying, industrial swamp. At the center of the rot is Harley Stone, a detective fueled by a chaotic diet of coffee and chocolate, haunted by the murder of his former partner. Stone is tracking a serial killer who harvests hearts and leaves cryptic astrological symbols at every crime scene. Paired with a by-the-book partner, Dick Durkin, Stone soon realizes they aren't hunting a man, but a predatory entity that might even be demonic. This creature shares a psychic blood link with Stone and begins a twisted game of taunting him, eventually targeting Michelle, the widow of Stone's partner, to draw him into the final showdown. It's a bizarre, neon noir relic that feels like the frantic love child of Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, and Alien. If you like gritty cyberpunk, you really shouldn't skip this one. Richard Stanley's directorial debut, Hardware, is a visually grotesque techno-thriller filled with splatter and inventive practical effects. Set in a post-apocalyptic future, it follows an ex-soldier who gifts a discarded robot head to his girlfriend, Jill. But this is no ordinary scrap. It's a military cyborg designed to reassemble itself and kill. Once inside Jill's apartment, the machine turns a creative space into a high-tech death trap. While early critics dismissed it as derivative of Terminator, Hardware eventually became a cult classic thanks to its dark, surreal imagery and incredibly harsh visual style. Nothing in this film feels comfortable. It's a haunting vision of a future we can only hope to avoid. But as a piece of cyberpunk horror, it was years ahead of its time. Mamoru Oshii is still best known in the West for Ghost in the Shell, but in 2001, he made the live-action Avalon, a Polish-language sci-fi film set in a bleak near future where people escape into an illegal virtual reality wargame. We follow Ash, one of the game's top players, as she searches for a hidden gateway to its rumored highest level, known as Class Real. Players chase Avalon as an escape from ordinary life, and some end up catatonic after going too deep. Visually, Avalon is a stunning blend of live action and super live-mation, drenching the world in sepia tones that feel like Tarkovsky's Stalker meeting a World War II-inspired simulation. Admittedly, the plot can feel confusing, but the arresting visual style and prophetic atmosphere more than make up for any shortcomings in the narrative. Based on William Gibson's early work, Johnny Mnemonic was a $26 million gamble that famously flopped, ending Robert Longo's short career as a feature director. Starring Keanu Reeves in his first role after Speed, the film offers a chaotic vision of 2021, a neon jungle plagued by a digital disease called nerve attenuation syndrome. Johnny is a data courier carrying the cure in his brain, hunted through Yakuza territory by an absurd ensemble of foes. Dolph Lundgren as a messianic assassin, Ice-T as a hacker, and Henry Rollins as a manic surgeon. The film's peak is Johnny's legendary breakdown atop a mountain of trash, where he screams for Mexican beer and room service. Sure, maybe it's a bit of a guilty pleasure, but then again, isn't that exactly why we're all here? Albert Pyun is the king of straight-to-video action, and while most of his work has little merit, Nemesis is the exception. The peak of 90s B-movie energy. It isn't exactly a good film. It's a blatant cash grab, ripping off everything from Blade Runner to the Terminator. Yet, it somehow works. Alex is a burned-out LA cyborg cop, forced into one last mission when his former partner and lover Jared resurfaces with sensitive data that could help cyborg terrorists start a war against humans. From there, the film dives headfirst into assassins, double-crosses, and the usual cyberpunk paranoia about who's manipulating whom. It hits every standard trope along the way, but that's part of the charm. It's the ultimate bargain bucket find, the kind of movie built for a rental shop shelf, where the cover art alone was enough to tell you it would be fun. The Zero Theorem came and went so fast in theaters that a lot of people probably missed it completely. It felt like nobody really knew how to sell it. The release was limited, and the film seemed to be pushed aside with the hope that Terry Gilliam's loyal audience would find it later at home. That is a pity, because even on a smaller budget, Gilliam still creates images that are made for the big screen. The story is set in a strange future and follows Kyohan Leth, played by Christoph Waltz, a computer expert ordered to work on a theory that would prove existence means nothing. The film clearly brings back ideas and visuals people connect with Gilliam's earlier dystopian work, especially Brazil and 12 Monkeys, whether he intended that link or not. It may not be his strongest imagined world, but there is still something impressive about how fully he commits to this chaotic, broken vision of the future. Rainer Werner Fassbinder's World on a Wire feels like a more elevated version of Inception. Only here the question is not about dreams, but simulated reality. The film keeps asking whether the world we know is real at all, or just another constructed layer. The story follows Dr. Stiller, an engineer working on a program called Simulacron. After the project's technical director, Professor Vollmer, dies in what looks like an accident, things start to get strange. Stiller talks to the Institute's security advisor, Laus, and then Laus suddenly disappears too. That is when Stiller starts to feel that all of it may be connected to Simulacron. The film was made as a two-part television miniseries, and it does all this without special effects. It does not really need them, because what makes World on a Wire so interesting is how far ahead its ideas were. Back in 1973, it was already exploring simulations, virtual worlds, and the nature of existence long before those ideas became mainstream. Vincenzo Natali showed with Cube that he could build a lot out of a simple setup, and Cypher proves that was not a one-off. This is a quieter film, but it is just as controlled. Under the surface, it is part corporate thriller, part identity puzzle. The story follows Morgan Sullivan, played by Jeremy Northam, a quiet accountant who takes a job in corporate espionage and quickly finds himself caught in a maze of double crosses, memory games, and conspiracy. Every new revelation throws out the last one, and the deeper he gets, the less certain everything becomes. Lucy Liu co-stars, and the film holds on to that uncertainty right through the ending. It is one of those sci-fi thrillers where the real tension comes from never knowing which version of reality to trust. Japanese cyberpunk probably deserves a whole separate video, but for now I want to stop at my personal favorite, Electric Dragon 80,000 volts. The story follows Dragon Eye Morrison, a man whose body has been charged with electricity since childhood electroshock treatment. It also leaves him with violent impulses, which he tries to control by playing his electric guitar. Elsewhere in the city, a TV technician named Thunderbolt Buddha has similar powers and is using them in his own private war against the mob. Once the two become aware of each other, a confrontation is only a matter of time. This is not really a film you watch for story. What matters here is the impact, the energy, and the feeling it creates. And at just 55 minutes, this burst of visual madness is absolutely worth your time.